I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
Booby's gone because nobody loves her, but I do.
Colby and
Find
Chip.
a way, inshallah. This is Svartidauði. Svartidauði. Huh? Bet you didn't know that Vin could pronounce Icelandic terms, huh?
I'm not convinced it was
Did
correct.
that all on my own without any assistance. Shout out to the big homie Damon Sage. If you want to be part of a Patreon alliance, you can get hooked up. Now, this particular Patreon alliance, this is a True Cult alliance.
Yep.
As you might imagine, it's specifically black metal. Mm-hmm. It's about getting black metal bands the burn that they deserve. Burn, in ghetto parlance, is a turn, right? A chance. This is a band I've never heard before. And I've never heard anybody even
request it. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this is the first Icelandic band we've ever heard.
As far as I know.
So I'm pretty excited for this, actually, and this is why the alliance system works, right? Is because we've been exposed to so many bands that
otherwise wouldn't get a chance because the majority isn't asking for it. So
well, what I appreciate about the alliance folks is that they're truly underground songs.
They really are.
In the sense of they're not like massive. Well, there's a Man of War song we did, and I guess Man of War is pretty popular. But in the main, we've been able to get some really good underground bands that wouldn't have got exposure. So anyway, if you want to be part of the True Cult Alliance, hit up the big homie Damon Sage, Facebook.com.
Well, you gotta join Patreon first. You can't just join an alliance. Yeah,
but I would just, if you wanted to talk about what the True Cult is, you can hit up Damon Sage. But yeah, you start Patreon for $1. But anyway, find Damon Sage, Facebook.com/Vin and Sori, and he will direct you to the Patreon page, I'm sure. And then you can get in it. Okay. This is a black metal band, though, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
It is.
Let's go.
And go.
Oh.
Tense.
Okay, Christians react to. Change the title now. Yeah. This is definitely black metal. We've heard a lot of like different variations within black metal. That's one of the things that I really learned from the channel, was that there are different kinds of black metal. So, you know, this band is nothing like Magua or Batushka, right? But they're still a black metal band. And this is kind of the more, I don't know, Damon, is this more like second wave-ish type black metal? But sometimes I wonder how much of the music gets influenced by the weather.
Oh.
Here's the cold. I'm assuming.
I just don't understand why there haven't been any black metal bands that came out of Maine.
Yeah, that's a strange. You know, there's really not a lot to do.
And it's
Maine.
depressing.
We should have and there's a lot of dead end, you know, kind of dead end jobs and stuff like that for Maine. Well, Iceland looks beautiful. God Almighty, look at that. Is that the Aurora Borealis? All that good stuff. Okay, so I'm assuming Iceland is in Iceland, but it looks like they have seasons and such. And you know, these are all probably like travel pictures. Look how beautiful Iceland is. But so I don't know. It's a Nordic island, so I mean it's gonna be cold, I guess. Spring, fall, even winter. So they do have. Anyway, so Iceland's a very beautiful place. These guys are very interesting because of what they were saying. My favorite line right now in the month of March is "Strive for steel and not for gold."
Oh yeah, that was good.
That is a crazy line, bro.
I shall exhaust the light without to cultivate the light within.
That's
what are you doing? That's crazy.
Satanic stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Strive for steel and not for gold is that's a crazy line.
Yeah.
If I was in like a combat outfit or whatever, like that would have been my certain teams, they got team patches with team mottos on them. There was one guy had one called "Embrace the Hate." That was their patch. I was like, what? Yeah, bro, embrace the hate. Let me see that shit. Fuck, okay. Embrace the hate, very good. But, you know, so you have these little patches and insignia or whatever, and that, if I, that would have been it right there. Strive for steel and not for gold.
Yeah.
You know, jihad. Yeah, this is a really interesting song. As they
I misunderstood that. That's not what it meant to me.
How did you? Well, I mean, it's art. What do you think it means?
Well, steel is stronger than gold, and so I thought that they were saying like, strive to strengthen yourself rather than reaching for material things that in the end make you less strong.
No, that could definitely be a valid meaning from that. But of course, I'm looking at it in the context of war. Like, yes,
weapons,
steel, and not, not for gold. Like, I'm not here to be, we didn't come to Coronado for the sun. You know what I mean? Like, we're here to fight. That's that crazy line. Of course, I'm pretty sure they're talking about. See, as they celebrate weakness, you shall become an embodiment of power.
Yeah. What?
Well, Paul talking about that when I am weak, then I'm strong. Yeah. Where Paul talks about
turning the other cheek, stuff like that.
Well,
we'll always see that as weakness.
Specifically, the term weakness is used in 2 Corinthians 12. I'm pretty sure, where he talks about boasting in his weakness. Yep. So when he says celebrating weakness, the closest biblical parallel would be Paul saying, "I am boasting in my weakness, right? So that God's power might be shown in me." But a lot of Satanism doesn't necessarily have to do with, at least from what we've learned from the channel, it doesn't have to do with rah-rah, the devil. It's more like putting the human being at like the pinnacle of everything. So like, you know, you're not going to sit there and boast about weakness, you know, your weakness. You're actually you're going to go and be strong and be a strong human being and overcome these problems. Don't embrace weakness. Go for power. Mm-hmm. Which Paul talks about that thorn, right, in 2 Corinthians. A thorn was given me, this is very interesting. The thorn was given me in the flesh, a messenger of Satan to harass me, to keep me from being conceited. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord about this, that it should leave me. But he said, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weakness, insults, hardship, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! So what this guy is saying is, screw that mindset. I'm going to go for my own power. I'm not going to do this I'm a weak person thing so that Christ can, whatever. And so the next line is, as they bend the knee to a king's rule, you shall do as thou wilt. Which, of course, do as thou wilt, I'm pretty sure it wasn't LaVey. It was, what was the guy's? Crowley.
Oh,
Aleister
really?
Crowley. Yeah, although in the very, very first Behemoth video,
yeah,
it was, do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But another Satanist guy hit us up, and he basically said something about love and do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Which is very, very close, actually, to the biblical love God and love neighbor encompasses that. Do whatever you want after that. So if the love and do as thou wilt thing is the entire quote, then this dude Crowley's getting misquoted a lot. Yeah. Because nobody's putting that there. It's just do as thou wilt.
I guess they are. Because they're changing what the man said.
Right. So I think that's such an interesting axiom, or it's an interesting moral principle. Do as you will.
What do you mean?
Well, I just think that I'm trying to find. This is Thelema, by the way. It's the Thelema thing, and there it is, right there. Love and do what thou wilt.
Oh, but that's his Catholic.
But that's not Aleister Crowley. That's a Catholic guy that said that. Oh, there it is. Saint Augustine wonderfully summarizes the gospel in short sentences. Love and do what you will, he says to his parishioners. So that was Augustine. So I don't know where this Satanist dude came up with. There it is right there. That's under Liber Vel Legis, which is, I'm pretty sure, a Crowley document. There's right there. Love is the law, love under will, as given in the Liber Vel Legis. Okay, so that's interesting because Augustine was 4th century.
Yeah.
So either it's an irony, or what? In my post on repeating ones, I show how Crowley's philosophy, which is called Thelema, equates to the number 93, but let's take a closer look at this law. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. The phrase, 11 words, and most significant to what I'm talking about, are 37 letters, blah, blah, blah. I don't see the love part. I know it's getting a little, pedantic here, but I just want to represent the Satanist properly. You see what I'm saying? Like, if he really said that, and we're going around saying, oh, Aleister Crowley said, do whatever you want. Kill people, rob banks, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not cool. But if he really said love...
Yeah, but wasn't... You just said Augustine? Wasn't Augustine before
Augustine
that whole movement?
Yeah, Augustine was,
so
1,800 years before.
Regardless.
You're
just saying if they happen to copy what Augustine said?
Okay, so Liber Vel Legis... Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, a formula to the Carly injunction. Love is the law, love under will. Okay, there it is.
So he did change it to just say do what you will.
Yes, but what he's saying is the context of do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Yeah.
Is he's saying that love and all that stuff came before it.
Oh.
See what I'm saying? So when Crowley said that, yes, he said that, but it's just like when people take Bible context out of quote.
See.
Satanists, help us out here. I'm just trying to understand where they're coming from and not, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is right there. There it is right there. So
I see what you're saying.
Obviously, yeah, Liber al Legis, and we got to this document when we were doing the one of the Behemoth songs.
Yeah.
Is a God to live in a dog? That was in the same one right here. So it's section 3, the law of Thelema. This book lays down a simple code of conduct. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. There's no law beyond do what thou wilt. So that second injunction is super important.
Of course, yeah.
and
it gets missed.
Well, if you that's pretty wise though. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. There is no law beyond do what thou wilt. So, I'm just going to read it. This means that each of us stars is to move on our true orbit as marked out by the nature of our position, the law of our growth, the impulse of our past experiences. All events are equally lawful, and everyone necessary in the long run for us in theory, but in practice only one act is lawful for each of us at any given moment. Therefore, duty consists in determining to experience a right event from one moment of consciousness to another. I don't really know what any of that means. Each action or motion is an act of love uniting with one or another part of Nuit. Each such act must be under will, chosen so as to fulfill and not to thwart the true nature of the being concerned. Okay, so the reason that there's all this will stuff, like do what you will, what they're trying to do is protect free will, basically. It's basically saying if you're not free from external compulsion, that you're not really choosing something. So if I put a gun to your head and say, whatever. So that's why the do what thou wilt thing is there, because they're trying to basically say that.
But aren't we always influenced by outside things? I mean, the gun to the head is a pretty extreme one, but I think
there's a difference between influence and compulsion. So what they're talking about is, the impulses of your past experience or whatever. So he's saying, yes, I get it. We get influenced by it. But what he's saying is that it can't be done from compulsion. That's, it's like in the Quran, there's no compulsion in religion.
Yeah.
The technical methods of achieving this are to be studied in magic or acquired by personal instruction from the Master Therion and his appointed assistants. Look at this. Thelema is Greek for will and has the same numerical value as agape, the Greek word for love. So right there when it says Thelema. So, when it says God so loved the world, it's got that Greek term agape.
Yes.
And it's got the same numerical value as this. And of course, they're into numerology and stuff. So anyway, as they bend the knee to a king's rule, you shall do as thou wilt. See, right there, it's a bend the knee to a king's rule. And I'm assuming he's looking at that as that external compulsion piece.
Yes. Oh, I bet you're right.
I think a lot of Satanists look at how we operate as compulsory.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so there's like a lot of... the ideas that Christians only do what they do because they're afraid of hell and whatever. Yeah. And so so here's what I'll say.
Well, some churches are run like that, so.
Doc, here's what I'll say. If what they mean by as they bend a knee to a king's rule, if what they mean by that is Christianity, and they don't specifically call out Christianity here, I don't think.
No, I didn't see that.
But if Christianity is presented as this horrible, terrible dictator that you should be scared to death of all the time, like the religious teaching that uses fear to keep people in check, then here's a crazy thing. This is a good line. It's a healthy line. If the person is rejecting an idea of God,
right,
that's terrible, and if they're quoting "Do as thou wilt" in the context that we just read, that's healthy in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which is really ironic, right?
Because
here come the Christians saying that, do as thou wilt. But, I mean, that's actually pretty beautiful if you look at that little conjunction there. Obviously, there had to be some Augustinian influence there, whether conscious or subconscious, because the do what thou wilt and love, I mean, that there's enough lexical connections there to say that he, at minimum, knew his Augustine. You know what's interesting when you talk about compulsion? You know, one of my favorite passages.
Is it when they to give?
Is it 2 Corinthians 5? It's 2 Corinthians 5, where Paul says, he says, the love of Christ compels us. So when you talk about compulsion, right? It's like, okay, so compulsion, you know, takes away free will, so, you know, that's no good. It's got to come from your will.
Yeah.
But what if the compulsion wasn't a gun to your head? What if the compulsion was love?
Right.
Right? Because Paul says the love of Christ compels us because we are convinced that one died for all, therefore all died, and he died so that those who live should not live for themselves but for the one who died for them. I'm pretty sure that's what he says in 2 Corinthians 5. So Paul's paradigm is, no, I'm not operating on fear, and I'm not serving a dictator, but I'm still operating under compulsion because the compulsion now is God's love.
Yeah.
Right? Because if Christ died for everybody, then I've got to be good to everybody. Because he gave everything, and so because of that, it makes me want to give everything. So that's one of the things that I think in Christianity gets lost in translation when we're talking to, or when we present the gospel, or
I would agree.
Ideas or presuppositions or whatever. I think that, you know, I talked to a guy one time. He became a Christian. Shout out to the big homie. You know who you are. He became a Christian, but he delved into Satanism because he said to me, the way that you present God, I've never heard before. The God, you know, he was Zeus and throwing the lightning bolt and wanted to kill people all the time and da 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 da. And and then he talked about going into Satanism. And I said, well, the God that you were rejecting, it was good that you rejected that version of God. And Satanism, here's a crazy thing. I think Satanism is a better alternative to bad religion. And here's my argument for that, scripturally speaking. You know when Jesus says, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, because you go across land and sea to make a single convert, and you make him twice the son of hell as you are.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
That means that when people go all over the place to spread their religion of this angry God that wants to destroy you every 2 seconds, and you better toe the line or you're going to hell, and blah, which is the gospel that the religious folks taught at the time. Jesus says they would have been better if you just left them alone. Because there's nothing. I don't think anybody has the capacity for evil as much as people who religious people. And the reason I'm saying that is because of what Jesus says. You make him twice the son of hell as you are. So now, instead of just being a regular nasty sinner like the rest of us, now on top of that, the guy has got a religious veneer over it.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, you know.
Yeah.
So that line is a very, very, that's a deep line. Strive for still, not for good. Drench yourself in the blood on the hunting grounds beneath the red sun. In hoc signo vinces. Okay, so I learned about this in the 4th grade, and I had to Google it to make sure. But you remember, not Augustine, Constantine.
Yeah.
So Constantine, he converted. Did I ever tell you Constantine's conversion story?
I don't really remember it.
Constantine was walking around, whatever. He's a great warrior, whatever, general. He sees this cross in the sky. He looks up in the sky, and then he hears, "In this sign conquer."
Yes.
So yeah, all the Crusaders, who were twice the son of hell, right? Going and invading Muslim lands, and I get the political atmosphere of what happened.
Yeah.
So initially it was, we're gonna, we need that as a stronghold or whatever. It was not religiously based; it was politically based. However, on the way there, our Christian forefathers did a whole bunch of evil shit. See what I'm saying? Yeah. And it was all covered up with religion.
The flag there.
And the irony
the banner of a cross.
Right, the irony of a warrior going in the sign of the cross, which is Jesus' refusal to fight.
Yeah.
Is crazy. So this right here, I mean, obviously from a Christian perspective, this is not the way. Like, as beautiful as that Thelema thing, Satanism is not the way. We're Christians. We're never going to say, oh, Satanism is awesome. What I am saying though is the principles that we just read, in comparison to not what Jesus taught or what we see in the New Testament, but in comparison to Christendom, this to me is a better alternative than Christendom. Right?
Yeah,
Whereas
no, I agree.
I think the teachings...
I mean, I think it sounds crazy when you say it, when you stop and think about it. It
Right.
does seem like, yeah.
Well, if you take the time to look at the context of what
Yeah.
this dude was saying, what Crowley was saying,
Yeah.
you know, it's a philosophy on life, and to some degree, I think it can be healthy. Right? But obviously, you know, we're Christians, so we believe that our package of philosophy, namely the way of Christ, is the way to bring about the world that we all want to see. Because I don't even think that this guy is talking about like being terrible or evil. What he's saying is your enemy's driven before you. So what I get from a lot of Satanists is, you know, hey, I'm cool. You know, just don't mess with me. If you do, I'll destroy you. Isn't that what's his face said, LaVey?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's kind of like a Lex Talionis.
So wait, this thing said, what did that mean?
Signal, that's
That means
that's the
in
line.
this thing conquer.
In this sign conquer.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And
Okay.
the irony of a Satanist quoting Constantine, right?
Yeah.
What he doesn't know is that he's kind of quoting
Paul.
Augustine too, and Paul, right? This is a deep song. This is a very, very deep song. I can see people, you know, like there's power and then there's empowerment. And I don't think those are the same. There's some people that are just thirsty for power and will never be happy unless they have all the power they could possibly get. And then there are other people who are just so beat down and downtrodden that they need to be empowered. So I can see listening to this song and feeling some sort of power about you.
Yeah.
And I think that those are important. What do you give the song?
For black metal? 9.
9.8.
Ooh. What's holding them back from a 10?
There's nothing really I can put my... Sonically, it was okay. I'd have liked to have seen them do a little bit of different things with it. You know, experiment with it a little bit. But sonically, it was okay. It was okay. Lyrically, though, I have a great appreciation for anybody that can say a lot with a little.
And they did, yeah. I was surprised there was no more scrolling. I was like, wait, what?
Well, I think, like... And I also like when bands don't underestimate their people. Like, there are enough Easter eggs in here that could send you on a hunt and a search for about 3 or 4 hours of research. Like, what does this mean? What does that mean? You know? And so I really appreciate that. That's a real gift to be able to say a lot with a little. Jesus was a master of that. He without sin cast the first stone. One line. Oh, it's just unbelievable. So it's a 9.8 for me. Good song. Good song. Shout out to the True Cult. Shout out to big homie David Sage. Thank you for all the work, Playboy. Also, shout out to Becky, man.
I know.
Gosh. Shout out to Becky. Shout out to Dan. Shout out to all our beautiful people. Shout out to the big homie Tina Benina. And of course, Pony. Can't forget Pony. You didn't put that thing up there, did you?
No.
Kill the download. Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone.